I can give you over 40,000 reasons why I know that sun isn't real. I know it because the emitter's Rayleigh effect is disproportionate to its suggested size. I know it because its stellar cycle is more symmetrical than that of an actual star. But for all that, I'll never actually know if it looks real. If it feels real. Before this is all over, promise me you'll figure out which one of us is the machine.
Hello everybody, this is JP3 here, bringing you another entry in our Halo 4 Legendary playthrough. We're on mission number 6, Shutdown. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about Shutdown on any difficulty, much less Legendary, and I think that stems largely from the fact that this level starts out with perhaps the biggest disappointment in the campaign, if not in Halo history. We are given the chance to fly the venerable Pelican for the first time ever. And it sucks. It's boring. You'll see if you don't remember so good. Now, interestingly enough, this Pelican flies a lot like the Pelican did if you ever did the Easter egg in New Alexandria, where you could actually obtain a Pelican. It pretty much flies the exact same way. Got some different animations and, you know, I think maybe slightly better textures. And of course it has weapons, but I'm not so sure they put much more time into it relative to the Pelican that exists as an Easter egg in Halo Reach, which, by the way, just came out 2 years earlier than this game.
Alright. Keying engine.
The only thing positive, in fact, that I think I can say about this section is that it is a unique way to get around the map. I think if you're gonna do something, you need to do it right. And they didn't do this right at all. It's unwieldy, it's boring, it doesn't have any of the same characteristics that you may have seen from Pelicans in the past. And there's two combat sections with the Pelican, and they both play out the exact same way. You're up against a bunch of phantoms, and 5 in total. 5 here, and then 5 in the next objective. And this is pretty much it. You use the Spartan laser, if that's even what you want to call this, from afar. Or you use the railgun from afar. Because if you get close, these phantoms are outfitted with some sort of spastic scattershot something or another that will rip you apart in seconds. So if you get close, they rip you apart. If you stay far away, this is easy as cake. That's pretty much Halo 4 in a nutshell, I believe, and nothing changes here. So I like to go to the left side objective first. I would say the main reason why that was initially was because it's the harder of the two sides, in my opinion. And you know, if I'm gonna die at this part, I'd rather go ahead and get it out of the way instead of going and doing the first objective, you know, being the other one, and then coming back over here and dying. I'd rather go ahead and die now and restart if I'm going to do a deathless run the way I was here.
Find the activation switch. To take a page out of our old playbook, I'm going to tune your shields to emit an EMP at the same frequency as the communication network. All you'll need to do to trigger it is to make physical contact with the carrier wave generator.
So there's 4 jackals you'll have to deal with here. I believe 3 of them carry snipers. It could be 4 though. That one's always there. Your next one you usually get right there. I say usually because oftentimes what I'll do is I'll snipe the guy that's over there on ground floor, and we'll pay for not doing that in a little bit. That guy we just hit there was a marksman, if I remember right. But we get tagged in a couple of seconds by that guy right there.
Why are we stopping?
So I did not do that with the same level of, I guess, rhythm
Light up the override on the HUD.
that I would have preferred. But again, it's not always easy to take the Jackal snipers seriously in this game because, well, as seriously, I guess, as you've had to do in past games, because they can't one-shot you. I mean, you have to take them seriously because you can't take any more damage once they hit you, and I guess kind of vice versa. If you've taken damage, then they can kill you in one shot. So what I typically do on legendary difficulty is hang out over here and shoot everything from range, because, you know, if they're that accurate with a close range weapon from that distance, well, you can only imagine what they're like up close. So it's best usually to hang out over here when dealing with these guys. I do tend to make a move, of course, once I've thinned them out enough. I usually like the DMR for the Covenant at mid to long range, but the light rifle does a great job at close range against everything. At least as far as headshot weapons go. Now I do start collecting Needler here. I usually use it primarily for the Prometheans, but here I found myself using it against the Covenant as well, and I just had enough to take out the Prometheans that we face later on. So we get overcharged, so we have to hang back here and just use this little ramp here for cover. You know, I want to say that I was going over to grab that plasma pistol, but because they pushed up so aggressively at that point, I'm not really sure how that didn't stick him. I threw it literally right at his chest, so... So I go ahead and prepare for the two knights that will spawn in right here by getting the light rifle and, of course, getting as much Needler as I have. I usually like to stick this guy and then super combine this guy and then come back and finish him off just like that. The stick should kill him outright, but grenades started really sucking hard when Halo Reach was released. And 343 did not want to fix that, apparently. With every, it seems like, campaign after Halo 2, or even perhaps Halo 3, if I'm to be nice to Halo 3, they have just consistently reduced the hard pings available to you. It seems like it just kind of comes down to headshots these days. So I want to take the lesser of the two beam rifles here, and this guy will sit there and let me do it. I'll take him out in 3 shots, all to the face. These crawlers are hard to shoot with the beam rifle, relatively speaking at least, and it does not kill them in one shot. I usually like to take a beam rifle over with me, and I generally prefer to take Needler, but it's not necessary, as you'll see here, and in a little bit. So let's go with the old favorite light rifle to take these guys out. The beam rifle is not going to do it, and getting on the gondola will probably involve you chasing these idiots around for longer than you'll want to. So I did end up taking the Needler with me. I mean, there is plenty of light rifle ammunition on our gondola here. You should die in one melee strike, pal. Alright, so as soon as you press this button, run to the exact spot I'm going to run to. Try not to assassinate this guy. Just tap him. Needler, needler, needler. Get rid of him, and that way you can get set up for the sniper. The Knight Lancer. The terror of this section of this level. So I try to hit him with the old railgun there and then snipe him. If I fail with the railgun, then I just try to snipe him a lot. But usually he'll phase away and become a big giant nuisance if you don't hit him with a railgun. And I like the sniper there because it has other, well, I thought it had other applications. I forgot that the beam rifle cannot kill a watcher in one shot. The binary rifle can, and the human sniper rifle can. That guy dodges the railgun before I even fire it, which makes it absolutely and positively zero fun at all to use. That was the guy I already hit. Now, I'm not 100% sure why I didn't just use the binary rifle for those sections. I'm kind of forgetting if I take it with me or if I use it later. I think I do use it later against some of the other enemies, so maybe that's why. I'm not so sure that it's necessary you do it one way or the other. So, and again, as I'll say in every video with Halo 4, if you're in trouble, or if one of my strats just isn't working or otherwise sucks, just sit back and spam everything with the light rifle until you can close the gap a little more easily, if you even need to at all. Like here, I've hit this knight several times, and he keeps just running away, and of course taking the blows. So there's the binary rifle. There it goes. So we're doing kind of the same thing here that we did before. Just sitting over at the gondola and taking out everything from range so as to avoid the massive disadvantage we have in close range, because melee sucks, grenades suck, and the knights are quite devastating with their melee attacks, and as we'll find out in just a little bit, with their shotguns, or scatter shots if you will, if they indeed have them. Now, I think I chose to go with the binary rifle here in a couple of scenarios where I think the railgun would have been the better bet. Like, at this point right here, just my opinion here, and that piece of garbage crawler runs right in the way just as I was trying to stick that battle wagon, as if that's really important to do anyway. Now this guy's back, the guy we've already shot several times with power weapons, but we take him out, fortunately, before he becomes a problem. So this guy can take headshots aplenty with the most powerful sniper in the game. So just keep spamming whatever the hell you have in your hands until he's dead. You should die in one melee strike. So after you press this button, nothing actually spawns in this area the way we saw with the first section in this area. Instead, we see a commander with an incinerator cannon spawn over to the left, and then this guy spawns right here, He's pretty easy to take out. For some reason, the commander is firing at us even though he can barely, if at all, see us. But that's fine.
On the platform. That's the carrier wave generator. Enter the carrier field to trigger the suit's EMP.
Did I mention in the previous video or previous videos that these guys are massive damage sponges? If I didn't, let me go ahead and mention that now. We will definitely be holding on to this weapon. We will want to take it with us. It's a very good weapon against the knights. It's the one thing that for most all of them, except for the commander, that we can use to one-shot them. It reloads in a very slow and annoying fashion. You can only carry 6 rounds total with 1 in each clip, so it reloads after every shot. But it's a darn good weapon, and we find a couple of applications for it here. I swear that first shot went right through his leg, but, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. We could have just as easily, if not more easily, set back and spammed the light rifle at him and been just fine. This guy's hiding out because he's a coward. And I'm so frustrated with having to shoot these little farts that I missed several shots. It's okay. We'll be alright. At least I think I will.
Cortana, where's this coming from?
Where's what coming from?
The Didact's voice.
I'm not picking up anything, Chief.
He's there. Keep trying.
For some reason, this reminds me of the underwater elevator ride in Regret, except for worse music and dialogue. And I think it might be longer. I don't know. It feels longer to me. I mean, to be perfectly honest, this isn't necessarily a bad level in general. I think it really reaches its fever pitch of annoyance on legendary difficulty. Otherwise, it's not that bad. It really is. I mean, the Pelican part is still massively disappointing and has the misfortune of just coloring, I guess, my entire perception of this level as a result. But it's not that bad on the lower difficulties. So same thing here as we saw before. 5 phantoms. If we get close, they'll destroy us. If we stay back here, we will destroy them. I wouldn't try any fancy Pelican strats. Not really worth it. Of course, you probably know that you can just skip these first 2 sections fairly easily. You just go to the final waypoint and you can wedge yourself in there, and with a jetpack you won't need anything else really to get in there. I can't decide which weapon I want to use. Which one would be more fun? I settled on neither. Being the more fun option of the 2.
Chief, there's a lot more comm traffic passing through this tower than just what's servicing the Didact satellite.
So, at this first part, you're going to deal with a few crawlers and then a watcher that tries to spawn them in. I usually throw a grenade at the crawlers just to get them thinking. And then, so as not to waste DMR ammo, I go ahead and grab whatever weapon that dude's carrying. Now, these guys won't attack because I don't have a DMR and can blow their face off. Well, I can't, so that's the issue. But I've, you know, got one of their weapons, and it's actually pretty ferocious up close. There's light rifle ammunition that's straight ahead, but you do need to kill a few of these watchers to get to it, and so that's why I was conserving it earlier. And by earlier, I mean like 30 seconds ago. Ugh. So again, like to focus on the watchers here. If I can take them all out, I'm okay. This one was hiding somewhere. I don't know where the hell. And of course, the melee in this game, well, at least since Halo Reach, has no notable lunge. I guess that's probably more of a Halo 3 thing that started with that. Melee was strong in parts in Halo 3, but not nearly as easy to use or as badass feeling as it was in Halo 1 and to some degree in Halo 2. I'll give credit to Halo 5. Those melee attacks are really strong. They're very forceful, and you really feel like you're gonna really knock something out, and then you don't on the higher difficulty levels, and it's turns out to be a big disappointment. So you saw where that light rifle was. So we're gonna have the same setup over here. 2 watchers and a handful of crawlers below us. Well, every time I play Halo 5, I do miss the days when these weapons, these bolt shots and suppressors, were kind of a close range menace, and you couldn't be cross-mapped with a tracking round whenever these guys fired at you. So maybe I shouldn't complain too much about this game.
Okay, the structure actually contains 3 central attenuators. We'll have to sever all 3 connections.
I think I wanted to start on this side, but I haven't usually started on this side, but I decided to this time around. It really isn't that important, I don't think. There are some slight differences in some of the spawn points, so I think you go to the side you're most comfortable with. So this is the annoying reload,
Cortana, are you hearing
which it didn't reload just then, because it takes frickin' forever. That's kind of a cool. It's kind of a cool assassination animation. I'll give him credit for that. I knew there was one more. I just knew it. I just had a feeling. So we're about out of our awesome weapon here. Whoa. So now that we're done with it, I'm going to go and grab a scatter shot. Because I know where the next guy is going to spawn, and this will be my spawn killing machine, if you will. So again, that should be enough, but it's not. That should kill you in one shot at this range. You're literally like 3 feet away from me. For the love of all that's holy. So maybe I'm not 100% familiar with their spawn points. Alright, so this, if anything does, this proves just how unfun this game really can be. I mean, did they in a million years think that we would enjoy that kind of shit happening? Or that kind of shit happening? 2 binary rifle shots and countless shots to the face, and the are still alive. Useless grenades, man. Useless grenades. I don't even think he really moved out of that little box there that I had him in. Now, I would have came up and assassinated his face, but to be honest with you, I know what's going on in my head when I'm playing this part. What's going on in my head is don't die, get this crap over with. I have no idea why I just shot that round there. Like, man, I don't want to have to go back and get that. You didn't know I was there, you piece of crap. But go ahead and turn around at the last second and make this thing even less fun than it already is. I mean, how many times is he got to fucking cheat? How many times? How many times is enough? I ask. So, that case where we found the binary rifle, for some reason I thought another knight would spawn there, but I was just wrong. He will if you start on this side, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So I think at that point I was trying to remember, and then I did remember that yes, we do have one more knight to fight, a commander, just like in the last section, but in a totally different combat scenario. So yes, we do want to take the binary rifle with us, so that's why I didn't use this over here. I mean, you can use other weapons, of course. When in doubt, stand back and spam the light rifle. It'll usually get the job done. That being said, you know, there's no light rifle ammunition in here. There's just this guy. Who wisely takes cover. Who can take 3 beam rifle shots, but just 1 more light rifle shot after that. The game was like, dude, you're not going to get a kill with a cool power weapon. What do you think this is? So, taking the, I like to take the DMR because I'm going to be facing off against Covenant from here on out. And, you know what? It's a toss-up as to whether or not it's a good idea to take the incinerator cannon, or the railgun. I tend to like the railgun in this first section against the Covenant. Because, well, of one particular guy with a fuel rod, an elite, and I don't know, gosh, as I think about it now, I think I would probably go with the incinerator cannon instead of the railgun. Now, you could have came over here all along. It won't open sesame for you over here, but you can get through and then use a jetpack
Get me to the control room, and we
to get where you need to go
them to block the Didact ship
from there. I actually think that this combat section is a little more enjoyable than the first two. And it's not necessarily Not necessarily because it's the Covenant versus the Prometheans. I just think there's a lot of different weapons. There's a lot of different options for how you can take this part on. I'm going to show you the way I do it. It is a challenging part, but it's by no means impossible to do, deathlessly or otherwise.
He's altering the tower.
Unfortunately, on Legendary, well, and this would be the case with probably any Halo, if there was this kind of map with this kind of expanse here, but you really have to shoot everything from range here. And now the biggest fear you have right now, if you move up, is there are 2 turrets on both sides. There are 2 schools of thought on the turrets. You can either A, try to take them out, say for example with the railgun or the incinerator cannon, or just by shooting it enough with your DMR. That will eliminate the threat of the turret, and boy is it a threat. As all turrets have been since Halo 2. They will rip you to shreds very, very fast. The other school of thought is to keep them around. Now, we just lost one with that elite when he got on it there. If you keep them around, then there's a surefire guarantee that both elites will go to those turrets eventually, making them perhaps slightly easier to kill. Obviously, you could argue the same thing with the lower class enemy, like the Grunt, that gets on them. Hard for them to troll you if you know exactly where they are. Now, fortunately, that did not take that turret out, so if there's any more grunts over there, odds are one will end up on that turret. And notice how I'm staying next to that pillar there. The one that was behind me, this one here. That way I can go and get behind it. There is a way to get an easy headshot on these grunts. You just have to hit them in just the right spot from behind. It's like right there. Now we trashed the turret, so it's done for. So we don't have to worry about being ripped to shreds really fast by a turret. That's a good thing. But we do have to worry about these grunts trolling us, because now we won't have a surefire place to look for them. Now, at some point, this is as good as any, you want to switch out the DMR for the carbine, not the light rifle. At this point right now, the carbine is going to be your best bet because you can spam it, and I think it's a little bit easier to get headshots with. Just my personal opinion based upon my personal experiences. Now, if I remember right, this Jackal is a piece of shit who just will not go down at all, and then I just get frustrated and start spamming it, which is a surefire way to miss even more shots. But he gets closer, and we eventually take him out. And since there's so much of the ammunition, and it's literally the only weapon that's really important, well, the only weapon aside from the light rifle that's really going to be good against them, you know, this should be, you know, a pretty easy part. I mean, there's plenty of it, and it is really the most effective weapon against the enemies you'll be facing. Now, this is where we'll deal with the guy who I like the railgun for the most. I keep missing him because, you know, this level has all that shimmer garbage that, you know, as does most of the campaign, that is very hard to see through. And of course, for some ridiculous reason, in Halo 4, they had not yet added an aim down sights to the railgun. So replace it once you kill that elite with this incinerator cannon, and get ready to take down some hunters and whatever remains of the jackals and or grunts. But we're not going to use the incinerator cannon. We're going to use the fuel rod cannon. Gun. For the hunters that we'll be facing shortly. Now this elite drops a fuel rod, but it usually disappears by the time you use this one up. And you typically do tend to use it up. Because the hunters can take 8 shots at this now. Mind you, these guys used to be just a snipe or a pistol in the back. Or 2 snipes in the back. Or 1 or 2 fuel rods, I can't remember for sure, with Halo 2. And now, they can take, I don't know, 7 or 8 of these shots. I can't remember the exact amount. I mean, you want to talk about being nervous here. I'm nervous. Really, truly nervous. Because the last thing in the world I wanted to do was have to play this level over. So we are completely finished with the fuel rod now, so we're going to go and grab the carbine and take it with us into this next section. The incinerator cannon is for the Banshees, because it is the only power weapon in the game that the Banshees don't dodge immediately. Strangely enough. Boy, 343 really wanted us to like these silver Forerunner weapons. So, notice how we have the 2 stationary turrets over there. They are more of a threat when you get in the Banshee, if you choose to do so. But of course, they're no joke against you as infantry. So we're just waiting for these Banshees. Their attention can be drawn very fast, very quickly, or it can take a while. But we've got things to shoot, so that's okay. Nope. I thought he was going to come over here. I think I could spam that carbine over there and kill that lead. So just wait for him to get close enough, and then he is decimated. Oh yeah, and the fuel rod doesn't even take out a Banshee in one shot if you hit it straight on. I forgot about that. I mean, that's really hard to do, to hit it with a fuel rod, but you get no reward for doing so. At least nothing substantial. Just a Banshee that keeps charging at you. Might even splat you as a result of your attempt to destroy it. So this last incinerator cannon round is not one that you have to save or preserve. I'm just going to go ahead and take out that turret with it. Now the elite gets out of it right before his demise, but that doesn't really do him any good. So at some point here I grab a Banshee, because that's fun, and it's not a half bad way to take out enemies. But before that is to take place, I mean, we definitely want to get rid of these grunts. And I generally like to make it over to this next platform. You'll see why in a little bit. Let me finish with the housekeeping here. Gotta take out the trash. So we have a binary rifle there. So I'm going to get in the Banshee, and my goal here is to take out any of the remaining turrets. Maybe do a little bit of hit-and-run bombing on the elites and jackals and grunts that are left over. But to be honest with you, if there's one use this Banshee has at this juncture, it's to take out that the other Banshee, because I really don't want to go over and have to be tangling with it, and at the same time be tangling with the elites and grunts. There are grunts with fuel rods, an elite with a fuel rod that's over, a grunt at least one, maybe even two with fuel rods, and of course an elite with a fuel rod. I don't really want to tangle with all that stuff, and at the same time got a Banshee having at me, you know. And it looks like we did draw something's attention here. So we're just taking out enemies one by one, and we are 3 for 3 in this playthrough with respect to hitting opposing Banshees with our fuel rod. Unfortunately, this time, however, it did not kill him outright, but we were able to finish him off pretty fast after landing that blow. Now, this is optional. It's just something I wanted to show off, really. Did you know that you could come all the way up here and do your sniping? So I want to find the elites. No fun. So there's 2 more elites I want to take out here. That guy will do. And that guy will do. So I believe, if I remember right, that's all of the elites that are left. And yes, that grunt just took 1 binary rifle round. Yes, that is correct. That's exactly what you just saw. The most powerful sniper rifle in the game that only holds 2 shots, reloads slow as hell, and can only hold 2 rounds in the clip. Yeah. That's the sniper rifle. Alright, so guess what we find here? Even more binary rifle. But we've got a grunt running around that has a giant hole in his head, but is somehow able to survive and probably will spam us with that fuel rod. So we just spam him back. Just spam him back. A little spam. That's all. And we're just going to take out whatever else we see. I mean, this is pretty much over at this juncture. We've taken out the scariest enemies. The only thing that's really scary now is what would be scary at any given point. You know, overcharges, super combines, grunts hopping on turrets to troll us at the very end of a level. Just the normal run-o'-the-mill. And this guy is that guy. And he takes a binary rifle round. But not that one. He didn't take both of them. Alright, so from this point forward we have some in-game cinematics and dialogue, set piece, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be quiet until it is over.
Quick, let me at the fire controls. Tapping into this fire central net. They're mine. Now to imprison them.
What are you doing?
I can't resist his Prometheus. Like thunderbolts he imprisoned me. Chief,
His ship's online. They're leaving.
I'm sorry. I don't know what...
Track those liches. We can go across them to get to the Didact ship.
Wait, across them?
Yes.
There are several liches moving in formation towards the Didact ship. We're only going to have one shot at this. Okay, go!
Alright, everybody, that is the end of Shutdown. And, boy, you know, I just have to remark, That is one of my favorite Master Chief lines of all time. We can go across them to get to the Didact ship, and Cortana, across them? And yes. That's pretty funny, man. Well, if you have any comments to make, any criticisms of this level of me, not necessarily personally, the commentary perhaps, or the video, or the gameplay, or performance, maybe you say nice things instead, I don't know. Just leave whatever you want down there. And if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you will, and of course, hit that notifications bell so you know whenever something new has been released or when I'm streaming. As for now, however, this is JP3 signing out. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you very, 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 very much for watching. Goodbye.